You were told something your entire life: work hard, stay busy, do your best, and eventually everything will work out. For most people, that belief becomes the operating system of their entire life. You wake up, you work, you complete tasks, you check boxes, you stay productive. And when things aren't working, the answer seems obvious: work harder, push harder, wake up earlier, sacrifice more. But here's the uncomfortable question: what if the reason you feel stuck is because you followed that advice perfectly? What if hard work isn't the solution, but the containment strategy? Because if working harder truly solved everything, then the hardest workers would be the most free. But look around. That's not what happens. The hardest workers are often the most exhausted. The most disciplined employees are rarely the most wealthy. And the people grinding the longest hours usually have the least control over their time. That contradiction isn't random, it's structural. Because life doesn't operate on effort alone, it operates on structure. Structure determines what effort produces. Let me explain. Imagine two people digging holes. Both are working hard, both are sweating, both are focused. But one person is digging with a spoon and the other is using an excavator. The effort might be similar, but the output is completely different. The excavator multiplies effort, the spoon absorbs it. Now here's the real question: which one describes your life? Because many people are giving excavator level effort inside spoon level systems, and that mismatch creates frustration. You start asking questions like, why is this taking so long? Why am I still struggling? Why does it feel like I'm always behind? And the answer you usually hear is predictable. You need more discipline, more motivation, better habits. But those answers ignore something deeper: the structure of the game you're playing. Because effort inside the wrong structure only strengthens the trap. Look at how most days actually work. You wake up, your attention immediately gets pulled into reaction mode. Messages, emails, notifications, news. Your brain starts responding before it starts thinking. And that pattern continues all day: responding, replying, attending, solving, fixing, managing, handling. It feels productive, but notice something. None of those actions create leverage. They maintain systems that already exist. Maintenance is necessary, but maintenance alone never changes your trajectory. If all of your energy is spent sustaining systems, you remain inside them. Trajectory changes when leverage appears, and leverage rarely shows up during reactive time. Leverage requires design. It requires intention. It requires stepping outside the flow of constant demands long enough to build something that works beyond your direct effort. But most people rarely reach that space because their schedule never leaves room for it. Your calendar fills up, your attention fills up, your mind fills up, and when everything is full, there's no space left for architecture. You stay in motion, but motion and progress are not the same thing. Motion consumes energy. Progress changes direction. The difference between those two states determines almost everything about the long-term outcome of your life. But the system you grew up in encourages motion, constant motion, busy schedules, full calendars, endless tasks. Because busy people rarely redesign their lives. They maintain them, and maintenance keeps the machine running. That's why slowing down often feels uncomfortable. When silence appears, you start thinking, and thinking creates awareness. Questions appear. What am I actually building? Is this scalable? Will this effort compound? Or am I simply repeating the same cycle more efficiently? Those questions are powerful, but they are also disruptive, because if the answer reveals misalignment, change becomes necessary. And change requires uncertainty. That's why many people avoid those moments. They stay busy instead. Busyness protects the current structure, but leverage disrupts it. Leverage is when effort begins multiplying itself. It's when something you create continues producing results even when you're not actively working. A system, a skill that scales, a distribution channel, an asset, ownership. Those things operate differently than labor. Labor is tied to time. Assets are tied to structure. When you stop working, labor stops producing. But when you stop working on a leverage system, it keeps moving. That difference changes everything. Most people are trained to prioritize reliability over leverage. Reliability means showing up, doing the work, following instructions, being dependable. And those traits matter, but reliability alone does not create freedom. Reliability creates stability, and stability can quietly become containment. If your identity is built around being the person who works the hardest, you may never question whether that effort is actually compounding. You simply double down. More hours, more pressure, more discipline. But intensity cannot fix structure. If the structure doesn't scale, intensity accelerates burnout. That's why motivation fades. Your brain senses the inefficiency. It feels like you're pushing something uphill that never ends. And eventually it resists. You call it procrastination. Sometimes it's misalignment. Let me ask you something honestly. If you repeat your current routine for the next 5 years, does your life dramatically change? Or does it look slightly improved, but mostly the same? That answer reveals the trajectory. Hard work maintains your current path. Leverage changes your path. And leverage requires something most people avoid: space, thinking time, design time, creation time, strategy time. Time to build something that continues working after you stop. If nothing in your life works without you, you don't have leverage, you have labor, and labor alone will never create freedom. It will exhaust you. This doesn't mean stop working hard. It means redirect hard work toward leverage. Instead of more hours, like build ownership. Instead of constant reacting, focus on creating. Instead of maintenance, focus on building. Yes, building feels slower at first. That's why most people quit. Grind mode gives immediate validation. Leverage mode feels uncertain, quiet, uncomfortable, but it compounds. And compounding beats intensity every time. One asset that grows beats endless busy work. One skill that scales beats years of reactive effort. One distribution channel beats constant dependence. You don't lack discipline, you lack leverage. And leverage requires intentional design. If you don't build leverage intentionally, you default to labor, and labor alone will not free you. It will only exhaust you. You were never incapable. You were never lazy. You were just pushing the car. It's time to start driving.